Revelations.Unveiled.Detroit. Lynching in America. The murder, lynching, and treatment of Black military service members. During World War II, Black communities in the United States faced an unrelenting onslaught of racial attacks. The resulting unrest sparked clashes between Blacks and white people, which in turn provoked violent reprisals against Black communities. In June 1943, so-called riots in Beaumont, Texas, and Detroit, Michigan, led to the deaths and injuries and economic loss and deepened racial hostility. In this environment, returning Black veterans were not only denied benefits and the opportunities for economic advancement they had been promised, but they were also burdened by their veteran status and military service, which made prime targets for racial violence, especially if they publicly challenged Jim Crow segregation. For many veterans, their first confrontation with the post-war racial caste system occurred on the bus or train that carried them home. On February 8, 1946, honorably discharged Marine Timothy Hood removed the Jim Crow sign from a trolley in Bessemer, Alabama. In response, the white streetcar conductor, William R. Weeks, unloaded his pistol into Mr. Hood, firing 5 shots. Mr. Hood staggered off the train and crawled away, only to be arrested by the Chief of Police, G.B. Fant of Brighton. Fant placed Mr. Hood in the back of a police car and murdered him with a single bullet to the head. Fant later alleged that Mr. Hood had reached toward his hip pocket as if to draw a gun. Although there was no evidence that Mr. Hood was armed, the coroner returned a finding of justifiable homicide, and Fant was cleared. On February 24, 1946, in Columbia, Tennessee, James Stevenson, a 19-year-old Navy veteran, wore his uniform to accompany his mother to the store. When his mother told the clerk she was not satisfied with the store service, the clerk slapped her, and Mr. Stevenson punched the clerk. Remembering 2 lynchings in the community 13 years earlier, local Black business owners quickly arranged to transport Mr. Stevenson and his mother out of town to avoid a growing white mob. Mr. Stevenson's lynching was avoided, but the mob waged a 2-day attack on Columbia's Black community, vandalizing the Black business district and arresting more than 100 Black people, including 2 who died in police custody. On February 12, 1946, Isaac Woodward, a Black veteran who had served in the Philippines, boarded a Greyhound bus in Georgia, headed home to see his wife in North Carolina. When the bus stopped just outside of Augusta, South Carolina, Mr. Woodward asked the driver if there was time to use the restroom, and the driver cursed at him. After a brief argument, Mr. Woodward returned to his seat. At the next stop, in Batesburg, The angry driver told Mr. Woodward to exit the bus, where the local chief of police, Linwood Shaw, and several other police officers were waiting for him. The police beat Mr. Woodward with billy clubs and arrested him for disorderly conduct, accusing him of drinking beer in the back of the bus with other soldiers. Upon arrival at the police station, Shaw continued to strike Mr. Woodward with a billy club, hitting him in the head so forcefully that he was permanently blinded. The next morning, a local judge fined Mr. Woodward $50 and denied his request for medical attention. By the time of his release, days later, Mr. Woodward did not know who or where he was. His family found him in a hospital in Aiken, South Carolina, 3 weeks later, after reporting him missing. Negro veterans that fought in this war don't realize that the real battle has just begun in America, Mr. Woodward later said. They went overseas and did their duty, and now they're home, and I have to fight another struggle. And I think that outweighs the war. Revelations.Unveiled.Detroit